Hey, it's Tara with Reiki on the Run, and I want to do a video today about not having friends and possibly being lonely. I got a comment a while back on a video, and it says, "Does it make you sad you don't have many friends where you live?" And I just wanted to kind of go over that. I think I'd mentioned in one of my videos. I'm in Mexico right now and I don't really have friends here. And so that was the question, are you sad that you don't have any friends? And so I wanted to talk about that because I think a lot of people might be experiencing the same thing that I have experienced and am experiencing when it comes to friendships, whether you are in a new location or where you've always been. So I'm going to talk about why I don't have any friends and why it does not bother me that I don't have any friends right now. Sometimes we're kind of thrown into relationships. Maybe it's through work, through school, parents of your children, family type relationships. And I think that you don't always have the opportunity to pick your own friends. Sometimes you can be thrown into relationships, so you wouldn't necessarily pick some of the friends that you do have, but maybe that's not a problem, and you enjoy any type of friendship, or that might make you feel like you don't have any friends. But we'll talk about why I don't have any friends, aside from the fact that I live in a totally different country where I speak the basics of the language. And I just moved, well, I've been here a while, but pretty much just moved here. So one of the reasons, and this was happening even before I moved to a new place, and we'll talk more about that later, about how my relationships were changing, my friendships were changing, and weren't really what I want them to be. So why I don't have any friends currently. Small talk is painful for me. I used to think that was almost like a superpower I had. I used to joke that I was a chameleon and I could blend into any group of people and I could have a conversation with anyone, rich folk, poor folk, anything, any in between, all kinds of walks of life. I think because of how I've grown up traveling a lot and being exposed to so many different people and cultures, it's always been very easy, and I always prided myself on that. But as I've gone through this awakening and things are shifting for me, I don't like to do it. I don't like small talk at all. It feels painful and it feels like a waste of my time. Completely. I don't want to talk about the game or the weather, or, I really am in search of deep, meaningful relationships. And I understand that that's not going to happen with everyone you meet, but it does get really repetitive, the same small talky kind of stuff constantly. So that's one reason I don't really tolerate that well, and I don't seek it out. So that could be a big blocker. Also, I don't hate everything, and misery loves company, and I've found that most people want to complain about their lives, about all kinds of things, and I get it. I completely understand. People will often bond over the troubles in their life, and it's a good way. It feels good when you are complaining and someone else is giving you their support. And so it's this kind of cycle of need and reward that people will get. And I completely understand it because I used to be that way. I used to complain about everything in my life, and I would bond that way with others. And it wasn't until I became aware of that and I stopped doing that I realized that so many people were also doing it. And for a long time, I would just still remain in relationships and just listen, but not say anything. Occasionally, I'd be drawn into it, and I didn't like that. But for a while, I just would listen, gossip, usually between parents, kids' parents. Um, and so I would listen to the gossip and stuff and just not say anything. But then I found, as I've continued to raise my vibration, I found that I don't want to be around it at all. Even just hearing someone gossip, it shifts my vibration, and I don't want to shift my vibration. I don't want to be in the vicinity of those kind of conversations, and I just don't like the way it makes me feel. So that's another reason why I don't really have a lot of friends, any friends really here. I just don't want to listen to everyone's problems. That's not where I'm going. I've said it before. I've heard a lot of people say it before. If you aren't helping me grow, you're a distraction. And if I'm not around people who are interested in doing great and amazing things and having a good time and looking forward to the future, I don't want to be around it. I'd rather just be around myself and not be around the negativity and things like that. So that's something I've grown into. Hasn't always been like that. I used to just hang out with people just to hang out with them. And that brings me to my last point of why I don't. And for me, it's not about the numbers for me. And I have two examples of what I'm talking about. I prefer quality over quantity, and a lot of people I've noticed do prefer quantity over quality. And I remember going to a dinner for a girl who was the parent of one of my children, and I was the second person to get there. And as I was talking to the first person, she said, "Oh yeah, the birthday girl was just on the phone with me asking how many people were there already." And it was very important to her to have a bunch of people there, and so she could take pictures. And I'm not gonna act like I know every reason, but I remember as the people showed up, we were all having dinner before going out. I noticed there were a bunch of people who this woman had talked to me about before and complained about most of these women that showed up. So it was more of a numbers thing. Oh, I want to have a big picture to show on Facebook of how great my birthday was, as opposed to really having people around her that supported her as a being and that she appreciated and really enjoyed being around. Like I said, I remember her talking shit about most of these women. So that was a big eye-opening moment for me. And also to look at like Facebook. I remember years ago, I've been off Facebook for years, but I remember one day looking at my Facebook amount of friends. And I had all these Facebook friends, but somehow still felt kind of lonely inside. And it just struck me as weird that I have all these friends and still feel lonely. And it was funny because, if you post a picture and all these friends will pipe up and, kind of make it seem like you're close buds. And then I noticed that anytime I would go back to the state that they were in, I'd go drop by for a visit, I'd have, 50 friends in this state that I'm visiting, and, maybe I get to hang out with one of them while I'm there. And so that was really interesting too, and that made a big shift for me for not wanting to be on Facebook and wanting to only be around people who also want to be around me, who want to spend time with me, and that's what I want. I don't want fake Facebook relationships. I don't want to just try to make my life look good on Facebook. I actually want relationship with people. I want to spend time with them, And so that was like I said, a big eye opener for me. And it really is interesting. It is interesting. It's like I think about living here in Mexico, and I live in a beautiful place now. I lived in a beautiful place the last place I lived, and I've invited every single person I know to come visit me in Mexico, and not one person has visited. And so it's just really interesting. I realized that too as I kept going back to the States to visit people, and I'm not getting the same return. No one's as interested to see me as I am to see them. And while that's a blow to my ego, it really helps in this direction that I'm going, because we'll get to the next part and this will make more sense, but based on the conversations and the energy that I want to have with people, those really weren't those kind of friendships. So they obviously weren't really friendships at all, but they definitely were not the kind of friendships that I want. That I want the deeper, more meaningful friendships, and those aren't a dime a dozen. So definitely not quantity that I'm looking for. I'm looking for quality. So that's important to me. So that isn't something that bothers me. So on to why it doesn't matter to me that I don't have friends right now. Like I mentioned before, I would rather spend time alone than acting interested. If someone's gossiping about something or telling me their latest woes or anything that I'm superficial, small talk, any of that, I don't want to do it, and I don't want to spend my time doing that. I would much rather be hanging out by myself because I'm pretty great to hang out with. So no, that was a long time coming. It took me a while to get there to where I could just be in my own energy and be happy with it. I used to always be go, 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 and I always wanted to be doing something when I have things planned out. And it's nice to not be that way. Not that I wouldn't love great relationships, but I would much rather be hanging out with myself than being around people that I'm not enjoying the time with just to be around people. And the next one, attracting my tribe. I can't be with the wrong ones. This is kind of like finding a great relationship. If you're in a shitty one, you're not going to find a good one because you're spending your time in the shitty one. So it's kind of like that. There's no searching in attraction. I completely believe that these relationships will come. I've finally met people online that I get along with, that I have the same ideas and we think the same things. They haven't manifested in my real life, but I know that they will. But I also know that spending my time with a bunch of people who aren't where I am with that, where I want to be, a bunch of people that are gossiping or negative, it's just going to keep me from that, because I'm not going to have that space open for like-minded people to come into my life. And it's also going to kind of lower my vibration to a place where I won't be in resonance with those people, because every time even if I'm just listening to someone gossip, that's lowering my vibration. I do plenty of shit on my own to lower my own vibration. I don't need any help from anyone else. And so as I work on bettering my life and doing amazing fun things, I just don't want those negative relationships, anything that isn't helping me grow, anyone that isn't wanting to grow, people that want to stay in the same thing over and over. I mean, I'm sure you have friends that all they do is talk about have their ex or problems, and it's just really draining, and I just don't want to be drained. And so the last one, which I just talked about, was that I choose to be around those interested in growing, and I will wait for that. So I'm not in a hurry. It would be nice. I would love to have good friendships. My son said something the other day. He's like, "Oh, you don't care about having friends," and I'm like, "No, I do. It's just that I'm not going to have them, negative, gossipy friends that aren't interested in growing and are interested in marinating in their problems. It's just not where I'm at, and it's not where I want to be." So no, it doesn't really bother me that I don't have friends where I am, because even before I moved here, I was kind of getting into that mode. I feel like during an awakening or remembering, whatever you want to call it, I feel like there's almost somewhat of a hermit stage that's almost required, and I feel like I've been going through that. And but it's good, because you need to be in your own energy. You need to learn how to be in your energy. You need to learn who you are. I think we're so shaped by our friends and their opinions, and we don't always feel comfortable sharing our true thoughts and feelings on things, because we don't know what our friends will say, or we know what they'd say, and so we keep it to ourselves. So it's really good to get to know yourself, and that's what I've done these last few years, is really get to know who I am, be comfortable with who I am, and understand that I don't want those relationships and I don't want to continue in those relationships. So it's been really good. So like I said, there's almost a hermit phase that you go through. So if anyone is watching this wondering what the hell is going on, why am I so lonely, why don't I have friends, it might be that you're being forced into it, to get to know yourself and to be comfortable in your energy and cultivate your energy and who you are, and being able to stand firm in that and not being ashamed of who you are, not trying to hide it. So I think it's been really beneficial, and I think it's part of the process, and I am glad that it's happened, and I look forward to making friendships in the future that are more in depth, have more meaning, more interest in the things that I'm into, and really looking forward to it. And one of the things I stopped doing a long time ago was chasing friendships. It used to be if someone seemed like they weren't interested, I would be freaked out, wonder if something's wrong with me, and then maybe try to see if there's anything I could do to get it back. And I just don't. If I contact someone, or if I say that I'm interested in hanging out, or I'm interested in being friends, or if I've been friends with them for a while and I just don't hear, I just don't push it. It would be like getting a regular relationship. I want to be around people who want to be around me. I don't want to chase anything. I'm not interested in that at all. That's a really shitty feeling, and that's pretty much saying I can't be whole or okay unless I have the approval of others, which is definitely not where I'm at. So yeah, it's interesting because sometimes I will get lonely, and I'll go out and think, okay, I need to make a friend. And, usually one of the only places you can do that is a bar. Luckily here in Mexico, there's lots of nice outdoor bar restaurants, hang out on the beach, beautiful places. But anytime I try to do that and I go seeking, kind of like if you're trying to find a relationship, you go out and try to grab something out of desperation, that's what you're going to get. And I don't feel like I'm ever in desperation. I just get a little lonely sometimes, and I will think, oh, well, maybe I'll go out and try to meet somebody. And it just doesn't work if you try to force it. And it always ends up not really a friendship that I enjoy. But, sometimes it feels the need for a minute. But as a whole, to answer the question, I am not sad that I don't have any friends. I actually am very much looking forward to the friendships that I know are coming, because I know, as with everything, as I've been practicing all this over the last few years, manifesting things in my life, just as I know an amazing relationship will come, I know amazing friendships will come. So I just kind of sit around and marinate in that, and looking forward to the bigger, better relationships that I will form, the people that do want to be around me, not just act like we're wonderful friends on Facebook, or, that's what I look forward to. And quite honestly, if I never made another friend again, I'd rather be hanging out with myself than in those old relationships, the fake relationships that I used to have, or the ones that didn't have any substance or meaning, or the ones that were like energy vampires and just sucked me dry because they're constantly complaining about their ex in their life. So yeah, not at all sad. Occasionally get a little lonely. I mean, who doesn't, right? But really, it passes quickly, and it's not a big deal at all. So I hope if anybody else is experiencing this, I hope it helps a little. Encourage you to not worry, to look forward to what you have coming, and not be sad that you don't. As we know, as we manifest things, if we are clinging on to I don't have, that keeps that in your presence. So anyway, hope that helps and answers your question, and I will talk to you soon.